Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now here I am now to kick off these uh reviews of the obscure Disney thousands. And so to kick off these reviews, I'm gonna be starting it off with a review for Disney's 2000 film Dinosaur. Yeah. So so this really was a film that it seemed to kind of get like a little bit of attention like at first like when it was originally released, but very shortly after like even like after when this film like ended up like coming to like a home video, I really didn't hear people really talking about this film. And yeah, even like ever since its debut, I really haven't really heard people really talking about this film at all. I mean, I remember they were really like trying to promote this film. Like I remember like McDonald's was kind of like marketing like toys for the film and stuff like that. But yeah, this film just it didn't really seem to get like a whole lot of attention, and people really like didn't never really talked about it. Like back then, I didn't really hear people talking about it, and just over the years, like in the like 21 years later, I still really haven't heard people really say much about this film at all. Yeah, I remember like when Nostalgia Critic or Doug Walker did like his original Disney December or in 2011, well, yeah, there was like popular demand for him to really talk about this film, and he felt that that people really did seem to like really like the film, but I really haven't really like heard people really talking about this film and stuff like that. Like I really haven't heard this film really get a lot of attention. So yeah, this just is a film that really just seemed to be like one of the most obscure Disney films ever. Just people really don't talk about the film at all. Yeah. So, yeah, this really was like the first CG animated film Disney really did that wasn't a Pixar film. So, yeah, so this was like revolutionary for that. This was like the first like full length uh, CG animated film Disney did on their own. Yeah. Yeah, so it is revolutionary for that. But yeah, still, it just really just, yeah, it isn't really that well known, especially now. Yeah. So, yeah, so I remember like back when like the trailer for this film came out, I remember like Disney released like a trailer for this film that was really just like basically like the first 5 minutes of this film. And yeah, when I saw the trailer for this film, I actually really was like pretty interested in it. Like from the looks of the trailer, like the first 5 minutes of the film, it really did look like pretty interesting. Like I actually they really did make the trailer like when they were showing the first 5 minutes. It really did make the film really look like Disney was actually gonna do something different that they really hadn't done before. Because yeah, in like the first 5 minutes of the film, like it really just like there's no dialogue whatsoever, and it just really did seem like Disney really was gonna do something different. Yeah, I'll put that trailer down in the description, and if you guys want to see it, like I said, it is basically just like the first 5 minutes of the movie. Yeah, so so yeah, it really did look like pretty interesting seeing like the first 5 minutes of the movie like this. Yeah, and really, I don't remember like any film really ever like having a trailer like that before. Yeah, yeah. So it wasn't. So yeah, seeing like that trailer, it really did like make me kind of like interested in seeing the film and stuff. So yeah, so I didn't actually see the movie when it came out in the theaters, but yeah, I remember like I did get the film on DVD when it came out. Yeah, and it started off like with those like first 5 minutes of the movie like that were from the trailer. Yeah, it did look like pretty good. Like it was like really like interesting to see. But then like when the trailer when the movie like picks up like right where like it cuts off in the trailer, that's kind of like where it kind of did seem to like the trailer really did seem just like very misleading. And yeah, it just kind of like seemed like the trailer was just like kind of a letdown and kind of a cock tease, to be honest. Because yeah, like I said, in the first 5 minutes of the film, there's like no dialogue whatsoever. Like not one word is spoken about it, and it just really did seem like it was going to be like something different. But then, like when it picks up like where it cuts off in the trailer, that's when like we do like it's revealed that there is dialogue in the film and the characters do talk. So yeah. So yeah, that seemed like very yeah. So that just like seemed like pretty misleading, and you get the feeling that like a lot of people really were like kind of disappointed, like that the trailer like just felt so misleading like that, and I think that's probably the reason why this film really like didn't like have like that the greatest reception in the world. I mean, yeah, critics just like were kind of like I mean they were overall still positive on the film. The film has like a 64% on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes, but yeah, the audience score is really just kind of like a very mixed on it. So yeah, and I get the feeling that is probably due to just like how misleading the trailer for the film was. Yeah, but yeah, with all that aside, like how is the film like with it, how it actually is? Well, yeah, when I like heard about this movie, I was kind of like thinking like maybe this was going to be like a similar thing to The Land Before Time, and while there are like some similarities between The Land Before Time and this film, like I did like notice like there were like some similarities between the films. It still really is done like the story is still like really different, and just yeah, its setup is like very different in comparison to The Land Before Time and stuff. So yeah, this film really doesn't like do its story as well as The Land Before Time does. Yeah, but yeah, with that said, does it really make the film bad? Well, quite honestly, I really don't think the film really is like absolutely that bad. I mean, it really doesn't really have anything like that really does stand out about it. Like the film story, it is basically just kind of like a Moses story where the main character ends up being like separated from his kind before he's born, and then he's born into like a different family. He's taken in, and then he eventually like comes across his own kind and all this other stuff. Yeah, it is basically kind of like the Moses story or like Superman and Hercules and all that other stuff where he's like not among like his own kind, but he eventually does like a reunite with his own kind later on. Yeah. Yeah, and in the Social Critics of Disney December review for the film, like he did kind of like just talk about like how this film really does kind of like just have like all the cliches that are in like the kind of like the Moses story with like the like he comes across his own kind with the jerky leader and has to lead the group and all that other stuff, and there's like the love interest and all that. So yeah, so it does really have that. So yeah, so really just the story and the setup for this film, like it's not really like that original. Like there's not really any originality to it. It basically is just like stuff that we have already seen before with other movies that have like told this kind of story. So it's not really hard to see why like this film really has like fallen into like the obscurity that it has, because there's nothing about it that really does like stand out about it. Yeah, and plus a lot of the there's like some stuff in the film that really is just like really kind of weird, and it just really doesn't make any sense. Like the soundtrack critic like said in his Disney Summer review for the film, how there's like that weird element in the film where like you do have like a like some of the dinosaurs do talk, but then you do have others that really don't, like particularly like the carnivores, and that's just like really strange. Like Land Before Time, like the Land Before Time series, kind of did have that like that same problem where like the herbivores talked, but not really the carnivores, and that like just was like a recurring thing that went on in like the entire series. Like whether it's like the original T Rex from the first movie, or whether it's Chopper's parents or the Velociraptors from the third movie, and so on and so forth. Yeah, you get the idea. Like you just noticed that like in the Land Before Time movies, like usually the carnivores really don't talk to it, just the herbivores that do, and that's really the same case in this film, where like the film really is like set around herbivores. Like the main character in the film is like an iguanodon, and he's just like leading. Well, yeah, and yeah, and just like a lot of the character, other dinosaurs that he does come across are like herbivores as well. But yeah, but you do have like some carnivores featured throughout the film, and the herbivores in the film, like they all like really do seem to talk for the most part. There are some that really don't talk, which is kind of weird. And then you have like the carnivores, like the main like carnivores in this movie are like uh carnotauruses, and yeah, and they don't talk, and I just find this like really weird. Like, why is it that the carnivores just don't talk? I mean, there could be like the argument made that they're not as intelligent, but why not? Like what makes like the herbivores like so intelligent they can talk and the carnivores don't? Yeah, and like I was saying just a second ago, where there's even like some herbivores that talk, well, that don't talk, because in this film, like there's one of the dinosaurs like they have this pet ankylosaurus, and yeah, the ankylosaurus just kind of like is like a pet, and it just acts like a dog. Like you got like their mouth open, like they're panting with their tongue out. Like why is that a pet and stuff? Yeah, and you also have like some baby iguanodons in the film. I'm not. I don't know if I should really say baby, but kind of like children, like very young iguanodons, and they don't talk in the film. They just kind of like make some noise. But I really don't understand that because in the uh, in the opening of the film, like when the main uh, character, the iguanodon, ends up hatching, like he's much smaller as a baby, so it makes sense why he doesn't talk like right then and there. But then, like, but these ones are older than when like the baby the main character is at the start of the film. So they, shouldn't they at least like have like some like little kid voices or something? Yeah, it's just something that I really don't understand. Yeah, and plus, yeah, like I said, it just really has like those cliches, like the jerky leaders and the love interest, and yeah, just all this other stuff. So yeah, so we really just have like all these like cliches that we've seen in like these kinds of stories. So yeah, so it's not really like so there's not really anything about this film that really does like totally stand out. So it's really not hard to see why the film really has fallen into the obscurity that it has. But at the same time, like, is it really that bad? I really don't think it's really that bad. Like, there's nothing really like particularly like bad about the film. Like while it isn't very original, like it does have these cliches. Like it doesn't. There's nothing in it that really is like sending bad messages or something that really is just like hmm, anything that really is just like is sending bad messages or anything like that. Nothing that is particularly like just stupid or just terrible about the film. It just is really nothing that really does stand out about it, and yeah, it just really is not really anything that really makes it like a must see. Yeah, but yeah, like I said, I guess there are like some people that really do get enjoyment out of it. If people get enjoyment out of it, that's fine. I mean, there's really nothing in it, like I said, that's really like especially terrible about it. It's just like not very original and nothing really sticks out about it, to be honest. So overall, I do think that it is a decent film, but yeah, it's just like there's just not really anything about it that really just stand out, and yeah, it just really doesn't tell its story really as well as Land Before Time does, and plus, yeah, there's just like some annoyances about it and just stuff that really doesn't make sense and all the stuff. So yeah. Yeah, so not terrible, but definitely it does have a lot of flaws about it. So yeah, so yeah, I can kind of like see why this film really is like totally obscure because nothing really does stand out about it, and there's nothing about it that really does make it anything that really is like a must see for it. So yeah, so yeah, so overall, I really think that overall it is just like kind of just a film that really is just like there, like it's not really like anything great, but it's not really anything terrible. It's kind of just like a standard like thumbs in the middle kind of movie. So yeah, so I would probably give the film probably like around I guess I would give it like 2.5 stars out of 4. So yeah. So I think I kind of like ripped it on about like what doesn't really like work about it and why like it really has been like so obscure. So yeah, so I guess I'll just talk about the premise of the movie. All right. So as the film opens up, like I said, like yeah, this really was like the trailer for the movie. Which, like I said, will be down in the description if you want to see it. As it opens up, it shows like there's this iguanodon. I'm not sure if it's a mother or a father, but yeah, they're like standing over their nest with eggs. But then yeah, then and after like a baby Parasaurolophus ends up like chasing a bug into a like trees, then there a Carnotaurus then ends up like emerging from the trees and ends up like chasing a herd of dinosaurs and ends up like killing uh, Pachyrhinosaurus. Yeah, that's something else that I didn't mention. That's something else that really is like kind of interesting about the film is that the with the dinosaurs that are featured in this film, they're not really like the usual like traditional dinosaurs that people would like immediately think of. Like it doesn't like feature like T Rexes, Brontosauruses, Triceratops, Stegosaurus, this yeah, and like all the like dinosaurs that people would like immediately think of. It actually does like feature like some of the dinosaurs that really like people wouldn't immediately think of. Like I've like mentioned, like it features like an iguanodon, and it also features a Pachyrhinosaurus as I mentioned. mentioned it has a Styracosaurus, Ankylosaurus, this Brachiosaurus, and yeah, just other dinosaurs that really aren't as well known. So yeah, so that's something that I did. And kind of like appreciate the film for that they decided to go down the route of using like the not as popular dinosaurs. Yeah, but anyway, getting back to this, yeah, yeah, and then as the uh, Carnotaurus was running like chasing the other herds of dinosaurs, he ended up like stepping through like the some of the nests, and he actually ended up like stepping into the iguanodon's nest and ended up crushing the eggs except for one. Yeah, and that last surviving egg ended up being picked up by like a velociraptor, but then yeah, then eventually like it just ended up falling out of the velociraptor's hands, and then yeah, then through like all these mishaps with it, like just falling into the water, and then just like rolling down on water and everything. Then eventually it was picked up by a pterodactyl or a pteranodon. I'm not exactly sure what the breed was. Yeah, it just ended up just flying like through like all that like landscape, which looked pretty good, awesome. Like it was like an overhead angle of just the pterodactyl or pteranodon, whatever it was, just flying over like the landscape, which looked like really really good. Yeah, but then yeah, then eventually it ended up like a falling out of the of its mouth and ended up just like crashing down into a island that was inhabited by some prehistoric lemurs. Yeah. And then the daughter of the patriarch of the lemur family, the patriarch who was named Yar, and then his daughter Pilo ended up discovering the egg, and then the egg hatched, and it revealed a baby iguanodon to there, and then yeah, then Pilo wanted to take him in, but Yar like wasn't on board with it, feeling that the baby was going to be dangerous. But then he eventually came around and decided to allow Plio to take care of him. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and then Plio took him in and raised him alongside like her daughter Suri. Or yeah, and then yeah, the iguanodon was then named Aladar. Then it cut to like several years later with Aladar now fully grown, and as he was like interacting with the lemurs, after he like watched like the lemurs in like a mating ritual, which in where Plio's brother Razini, yeah, I think that's how it said, Zini, he was like unsuccessful in the ritual. Then after like it ended, it showed then like there was a meteor then that ended up like crashing down onto the Earth, and when the meteor like crash landed down, then it ended up like causing like an explosive shockwave, and then it was heading towards the island. Then uh, Aladar then was just like trying to get like the like Pleo, Yar, and the others to safety, and yeah, they were able to like get head across the sea to the mainland. But yeah, it showed that like their family were the only survivors of the island. Yeah, yeah. Then it just like showed that they were just like crossing through like the burnt wasteland, which was just like total like just a sandy desert. So yeah, that was like another problem with it because, like a nostalgia critic said in his Disney Summer review for the film, just like the characters in the film really are like pretty bland overall, and just yeah, and plus, yeah, with just like the landscape that we saw in like the first 5 minutes, like a lot, like 80% of the film is just like with that deserted desert. So, yeah, that's kind of like another problem with the film because I mean, just we got really nothing to look at just except with a bland and plain desert instead of like all that like great landscape that we saw in the first 5 minutes of the movie. So yeah, that really is a problem. Well, another problem with it, just like everything that we like were like led on to in the trailer, just it's not really what we got in the film for the most part. Yeah, yeah. But then eventually they ended up coming across a group, well, a herd of dinosaurs with that like consisted of multiple different species, and it showed that they were heading for like another land known as like the nesting grounds. And it showed that the herd was like led by led by like another iguanodon Han, I think it was. Yeah, he was another iguanodon named Kron, and yeah, and he really just like was like very like insistent on like the herd just listening to him and nobody else trying to take over his spot leading the herd. Yeah, whenever like in the film, whenever Aldar like tried to step in and tried to like lead the herd to herd on another route, he wasn't having any of it. Yeah, and yeah, and then yeah, then it showed also that like Aladar, Pleo, and yeah, the rest of their family also ended up like befriending some other dinosaurs in that group, which included like Ema, Styracosaurus, as well as her pet Ankylosaurus Earl, and yeah, their elderly Brachiosaurus friend Baleen. And stuff. Yeah. So, and like I said, Earl, the Ankylosaurus, he's like the pet, and he kind of acts like a dog, which is just like really strange. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, and it showed that like Kron was just like leading the herd off, and they were just like really traveling for days, like without any water. And Kron really just had the mindset that anybody that ended up like getting weak as they were traveling and just ended up like dying from like exhaustion and dehydration and stuff, that they didn't deserve to live. So yeah, he's kind of like having that mindset where he just like is not listening to anybody else's advice and doesn't even like have any understanding for anybody else's conditions. Yeah. But yeah, at the same time, like as that was going on, Kron also like had like two other Wandons at his side. His there was his Lieutenant Bruton, on who was also like kind of like harsh and sarcastic and really doesn't accept help from anybody in the film, as well as there's a his Kron's sister Nira, who ends up like taking an attraction to Aladar, or at a point in the film. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, he like had Nira is really like basically that the love interest in the film. Yeah, yeah, and then and yeah, then eventually after like Ema just like being very just like very tired and feeling sick, like yeah, Aladar like stayed behind with her and everyone else, and then eventually Aladar and Baleen were able to dig up some water on the ground. And then yeah, Aladar actually like tried to get Kron and the rest of the herd to really like see that there was water and everybody was all right, but yeah, Kron like just like didn't want like Aladar to really take it over his duty, and yeah, pretty much like the entire herd was really just like rushing in, and yeah, but then then as Nero was like really impressed with like the compassion that Aladar had for everybody. Like she started to really like form a connection with him, and Kron like had the belief that like Aladar wanted to take over for leading the herd from him. Yeah, yeah. Then it also like was eventually revealed that there were like two Carnotaurus that were like actually tracking down the herd, and Bruton like was approaching the two approaching to Kron, and after like he survived an attack during a scout mission, and then yeah, Kron just like was quickly rushing the herd away from the lake, and then it just showed like Aldar, Bruton, the lemurs, and the elderly dinosaurs were left behind, and so then as later that night, as Aladar and his group were like trying to take shelter, they eventually found a cave, and it showed that Bruton was injured. Aladar was offering his help to Bruton, but he just like didn't want any pity on him. So yeah, he was basically just like brushing Aladar away. But then he eventually ended up like coming around and joined Aladar and the others inside of a cave that they took shelter in. Yeah. Yeah, but then later that night, like the Carnotauruses then discovered them in the cave, And so then Aladar was trying to help the others get to safety, but but then like he was also then gonna try to like hold the Carnotauruses off, but then Bruton did that and allowed Aladar to help get the others to safety. And then as Bruton was holding off the Carnotauruses, then he ended up causing a cave in, and that ended up sacrificing his own life, but also ended up killing one of the Carnotauruses and forced the other one then to retreat from the cave. Yeah, and then in Aladar and the others then just went deeper into the cave, and they seemed to reach a dead end. But then Baleen then just used her strength to be able to just smash through the wall, and then it showed that on the other side were the nesting grounds. So they finally did arrive at the nesting grounds, and and this was basically kind of like this movie's version of the Great Valley and the Land Before Time. I mean, it had all of plant life and water and all this other stuff. So yeah, a lot of them, then we're just happy to to make it to the nesting grounds and be now a new home. Yeah. But then Ema then ended up noticing that there was a landslide that blocked off the usual entrance to the valley. And so then Aladar then rushed off on his own to try to find Kron and lead them over the landslide and into the nesting grounds through the way they discovered. Yeah. And then then it cut to Kron trying to tell the herd to try. Just they had to actually climb over the climb over the all the stones that were blocking the entranceway. Okay, but it would also show that there was a sheer drop on the other side of the wall. Oh and then when Aladar then arrived and tried to just tell everybody that there was a safe way to get to the valley, Kron once again was not having any of Aladar trying to take over his leadership, and so then Kron ended up attacking Aladar. And then finally Nero was just had enough of Kron's behavior and intervened in the fight. And then then after the rest of the group then just realized how selfish Kron was really being, they ended up following Aladar. But Kron was still insistent on trying to climb over the rocks. But then then it showed then the Carnotaurus arriving, and then then at first everybody was just preparing to run from it, but then Aladar then just convince everybody to just stand together in defiance against it. And so then everybody then just stood off against the Carnotaurus, and then it ended up scaring it off. But then it ended up going after Kron. So then then as Kron was actually trying to fight off the Carnotaurus, or Carnotaurus rather. Aladar and Nero were also trying to rush to Kron's aid, but the Carnotaurus ended up attacking Kron and killing him before Aladar and Nero could get to him. But Aladar was able to fight the Carnotaurus off and cause it to fall over the sheer drop to its death. And then then it just then showed Aladar and Nero, and then just warning over Kron's death, and then it then cut to them leading the rest of the herd to the nesting grounds. And so then everybody was in celebration that they were there. And then cut to sometime later where showed that a Kron, well, not Kron, sorry, Aladar and Nero now had their own eggs that were hatching, and it showed that there were other dinosaurs that were hatching as well. And then it just it ended by showing just the dinosaurs all around the nesting grounds, around and stuff. And that's how it ended. So like I said, there's not really anything that really truly does stand out about the film. So it does kind of it's understandable as to why this film really isn't really talked about very much, and why it is pretty obscure. Nothing about it really does stand out, and like I said, it just really doesn't tell the story nearly as good as Land Before Time does, and just there's a lot of stuff about it, well, yeah, there's like things about it that just really don't make sense and really just is kind of just the it's like really weird and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, something else that I like didn't talk about is just like the score in this film. Like in the trailer I got down there with the first 5 minutes of the film, like in the last minute, like that score where it shows like the pterodactyl like flying with the egg, just like that score is just like so great with the dun, 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 dun. So yeah, that basically is like the theme for this movie because yeah, it is like played like occasionally throughout the film. Well, yeah, that is a great score. Yeah, and even like in like Nostalgia Critic or Doug Walker's Disney December, like in his first few Disney Decembers, like when he started it off, like giving the introduction, like in his first Disney December reviews, that is like the song that he did play in the opening. So yeah, so to show that I guess like he really thinks very fondly of the song as well. Yeah, and it is a good score. So yeah, that is like one of the positives of this film as well. Yeah. So, like I said, nothing about it really does stand out and stuff. Yeah, it's not really like absolutely terrible, but it's just not really anything that really does like stand out, and it's just like really not all that interesting. Yeah, so like I said, like if you have enjoyment out of this film, that's fine. But yeah, if you were asking me whether I would recommend this film to you, I probably wouldn't because there's nothing about it really just making it a must see. But if you are curious enough just to check it out, if you have heard people really talking about it, saying like what they have said about it, kind of like what Natasha was talking about in his Disney December review for this movie, then and yeah, yeah, if you're curious enough, you can go ahead and give it a watch. But yeah, if you're looking for something that is like something that really truly is like a classic, this definitely isn't that film. So yeah, so like I said, I give the film like 2.5 stars out of 4. All right. So yeah, so I guess that's all I can really say about it. All right, so this does it for my review of Dinosaurs. I hope you guys did enjoy this review, and stay tuned for as more of these obscure Disney film reviews are coming throughout the month. All right, but I hope you guys did enjoy this one. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.